A Champions League quarter-final for Manchester United, and on display, no shortage of the green and yellow scarves that have come to signify fans' displeasure with the club's American owners, the Glazer family.
We just think they're in it to make money and pay off the debt they've got.
They're saddling us with debt. They're borrowing us, and we're paying for it.
They're going to bankrupt the club. Let's get them out.
Representing the club's original colours, the scarves are at the heart of a supporters' campaign to wrest control from owners that since 2005 have pulled around $500 million out of the club through management fees and servicing a debt of over $1 billion.
Supporters favour reinvestment of the profits into the club, and investor shareholders favour taking out as much money as they can get away with and obviously pushing ticket prices as high as possible to drive revenue.
And in football's richest league, one that last year had revenues of over $2.7 billion, fans are becoming ever more concerned about club owners' motives.
A lot of these people are turning it into something that is completely unsustainable in the long term, but because they sell on to another buyer in a couple of years' time, it doesn't matter to them.
We need some rebalancing here, because there isn't enough consideration of the long term in football.
Proof that concern is rising can be seen by the fact that for the first time the issue appeared in the election manifestos of both the Conservative and Labour parties. Labour even hinting it may eventually push for compulsory fan ownership of at least 25%.
The reality is it would almost certainly face quite vehement opposition from leagues such as the Premier League and the Football League, who would be very reluctant to relinquish the authority that they have at the moment.
The Premier League refused to comment on the idea, but its popularity and earning power was confirmed again in March with the signing of an astonishing 3-year TV deal for overseas rights worth $2.1 billion, more than double the value of the last deal.
The free market, you can't argue against it, and the Premier League is a huge success in terms of its sort of global power and dynamism that it creates.
It's the most indebted league in Europe, isn't it? It has debts of running into billions of pounds.
Over $4.5 billion in fact, with all but one of its clubs in the red. None more so than the Red Devils themselves. Manchester United may be carrying over $1 billion in debt, but they've won the Premier League for the past 3 seasons and reached the final of the Champions League for the past 2, winning in 2008. So, what's the problem?
That would have happened anyway, and it's Fergie and that lot and the players that win stuff.
When Sir Alex retires, the amount of investment that's going to be required is pretty substantial in most people's view, and we don't have that money at the moment under the current ownership.
In Manchester United's favour is the fact it generates huge annual incomes. Last year, over $400 million.
It's not always about the debt, it's about managing that debt in relation to the turnover that you're bringing in, year out.
However, teams with less valuable assets and smaller turnovers could really struggle. And this year Portsmouth became the first Premier League team to go into administration with debts of around $150 million.
18 years, one club sort of going to the wall, if you like. Is it a good ratio? In any business terms, they'd probably say yes.
It's not a bad return on however many years, on 20, and 18 years of the Premier League. It's a terrible return. It's a damning indictment of the way we choose to operate our football clubs and allow them to operate.
Germany's Bundesliga is often held up as an example of how a healthy league should operate. There, with a couple of exceptions, clubs must be at least 51% controlled by members. Ticket prices are the lowest of Europe's big 5 leagues, average attendances the highest.
Now in Germany, all the people have the power and not one man.
It's a better system because of this. The supporters, it's the opinion, and the supporters, it's the main thing in football.
But the Bundesliga does sacrifice income to accommodate fans, which could explain why no German club has won the Champions League for almost 10 years. Back in England, a recent $1.5 billion proposal to buy Manchester United, which would see about 3/4 of the money coming from wealthy individuals, the rest from fans, has recently been put forward. But across the league, in the near future at least, significantly higher fan ownership is unlikely, whether the politicians want it or not.
government intervention into sport is not the model. It's not the way that sport is operated in this country, and it's not the way that, frankly, it's been successfully operated in this country for decades and decades.
Getting, a consortium of people who are not business people, who are purely fan interest, to get the money together to invest in a football club is a very difficult task.
Right now, no one is saying the Premier League is about to implode, but then again,
I think there's real parallels here with investment banking industry, isn't there?
Come on, United! United!
and outside Old Trafford, it's clear the fear of a future collapse has well and truly arrived.
No, there's going to be a big bang sometime, and we only hope it doesn't happen in Old Trafford first, because there's a possibility. We hope Liverpool go first.
Spending it on American clubs, taking out profit, going over to America, and what do we get in return? Nothing. Donuts.